been, I think, the last few games, he's really been one of our better players, and he's got all the skill in the world. And I think tonight especially, he was hunting every puck, and it was well deserved for him to get that chance, and he finished. And great dude, so couldn't happen to a better person.
That's right. The Bruins got the Halloween memo, delivering an OT thriller. And as you heard it right there, Husnudinov delivering a dagger to the Sabres in their hopes of pulling off an OT win last night. Then later on here on Boston Has Entered the Chat, Jon Lyons joins the program to talk some Celtics with us. What's going on here?
I thought we were dressing up today.
Oh, well, I tried. I went with... I think Kim Possible. I got close to Kim Possible.
All right, well, one of us is ready for the show. Let's hope Atlanta's Carl Dukes is ready for the show. We're going to preview Patriots Falcons this weekend. Boston Has Entered the Chat. Halloween edition begins now.
Average Joe coming at you.
Oh boy, we have some fun here. Welcome into our spooky Salem 5 studios. For Boston Has Entered the Chat. Winning edition, the Bruins, they pull it out in overtime. Sure, they allowed a couple goals in the third period. Maybe it shouldn't have gone to overtime in the first place, but who cares? Boston has won again. That's something we like bringing into the chat with the Kasey Hudson Adam Kaufman with you. Happy Halloween, everybody. So the Bees now off that win, 4-3 against the Sabres in extra time at the Garden, 2-0 against Buffalo this year, by the way. They find themselves, don't look now, no, you can go look, tied for the second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference with about 17 other teams, but they're tied.
I know.
Right now, it's okay.
There's
a lot going on. Listen, that was an encouraging win for any number of reasons. Husnudinov, the game winner, obviously, a couple minutes into extra time. Great performances across the board. We'll get to a bunch. But what was the big takeaway for you?
Well, the biggest takeaway is that I think it's a level of irony here that we went into training camp, we go into the opening of the season, and we're like, this defense is going to be the entire identity or the leading identity of this team. Well, actually, the coin flipped a little bit. It's the scoring that's making sure that these Bees can stay in every contest possible. Because we've talked ad nauseum about the fact that the games that they have lost, they were very close. They were within reach. There was only that one nasty one that I'm okay with never talking about again. But I think that we just saw again how much the ability to score has come in favorably for this team and help them be able to pull off wins such as 4-3 OT thrillers. Something else that I appreciate about this win last night is like Morgan Geekie staying hot. David Pastrnak.
6 straight games with goals now.
Yeah, David Pastrnak. Then you've got your other guys getting involved that we just kind of wrote off before the season even started. And then Murat Husnudinov, it's just one of those stories where it's like you were just waiting for his moment. And the Bruins broadcast did a brilliant job of just kind of covering his patience and how Marco Sturm has watched him just kind of come to light time and time again in practice and when that was going to translate on the ice. And what better way for play to translate than, I don't know, the dagger in the Sabres' heart and sending them home and letting them know that you still have their number this season. So I just feel like on the lightheartedness of things, you're seeing other guys get involved. A lot of that in contribution to the blended lines that Marco Sturm has kind of pieced together since that win over the Islanders on Tuesday. So moving the defense aside, that's the highlight that I'd like to start with.
So from Murat to Mark Kastelik, he had a goal in this game as well, spoke with the media after the game.
I mean, it's great. He's been, I think, the last few games, he's really been one of our better players, and he's got all the skill in the world. And I think tonight especially, he was hunting every puck, and it was well deserved for him to get that chance, and he finished. And great dude, so couldn't happen to a better person.
You mentioned keeping it simple. Is that kind of your philosophy, keep it simple and compete every shift?
Yeah, right, pretty much. Obviously we're always trying to adapt and add to our skill set and build our game in other ways, but I think the bread and butter and the stuff that makes us the most successful right now is just outworking the other team and knowing where each other is and kind of being on the same page and just trying to get as many shots as we can and try to get dirty ones.
Any keys to drawing so many penalties?
Not really. I'm just trying to work my hardest out there and outwork the guy I'm standing across from. And it just seems like right now I'm getting a lot of penalties drawn, which is hopefully good for the team overall, and just giving our big dogs a chance to go out there and get one.
From Country Dude 5 on Twitter, another win by the Bruins. What? That's 3 out of 4. Nice shot. Husnudinov, Korpisalo, the Bruins' #1 goalie. I mean, listen, Kasey, we might have a little goaltender controversy going on right here. I know the Bruins.
Little average Joes versus the.
I mean, well, in terms of salary, right? Like by their kind of comps, like Jeremy Swayman, $8.25 million per year versus Korpisalo, who's around 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's outplaying, at least right now, his counterpart, his #1, to where we have seen Korpisalo. I heard Adam Pellerin mention this on Bruins Overtime Live last night. This is the first time in Korpisalo's Bruins career. I realize he only joined the team last year, but his first time here that he has started consecutive games, and now Marco Sturm, the head coach, has not closed the door on him starting against Carolina coming up tomorrow afternoon. We could see 3 in a row. At what point do the Bruins have a new #1? Because Korpisalo's raw stats, and this is where you go back to like the eye test, right?
Yeah.
The raw stats are not great for Korpisalo. He's 3-3, 3.5 goals against average, save percentage of 88. You need those numbers to be way better for a #1. Hell, for a backup, you need your numbers to be better than that. But you can't ignore that over the last 2 games and 37 saves last night in that win, some gigantic ones, obviously, that this guy has earned his keep.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think we can all fairly say that he has not only really earned the trust of every other Bruins player out there, but they heavily relied on him. I mean, because Selleck just said it right there, that they hung him in the pocket, and that's not the first time that we've heard anyone on this Bruins roster refer to that when Korpisalo has been between the pipes. So I think because of how he has been able to kind of be consistent under siege, that's going to kind of start to push him ahead a little bit here. It's going to be very telling to see who starts versus the Canes tomorrow, that's for sure. But I would say this, that like the moments that he has bailed this Bruins team out of, I think that he has maybe had the ability to do that a little bit more than Swayman. And Razor talked about it on Unobstructed Views the other day about how like this is where the eye test versus stats just really kind of hurts you as a goaltender, because all it takes is one really bad game and a number of goals get past you for you to look like you're incapable. But everything else really has to come down to the eye test, because to put some things into perspective of what Korpisalo did last night to make sure that this was a Bruins win and not a Bruins loss, the Sabres outshot the Bruins 13-5 in the first period. 16-9 in the second period.
Keep going.
11-5 in the third period. The Bruins never had a chance to even like match the shot volume that the Sabres were able to produce. So
was that plus like 18 somewhere in that range?
I mean, just about. So when you think about it, if you weren't watching the game last night and you were just like looking at the statistics of it, you would have woke up this morning and thought that the Sabres beat the Bruins. And that is very much in large part to what Korpisalo did so well, which is continue to man that net no matter what happened. And I mean, from another broader spectrum of like what goalies do so well, the amount of high danger chances that just kept coming at him. You know, that's where a goalie is really put to the test. 14 high danger shots coming at him, and he was able to shut down 12 of the 14. So those numbers right there is what has kind of just put him ahead notch by notch over what we've seen out of Swayman. Not to say that Swayman has been bad. He also hasn't had the best performances going on in front of him, and we have seen him stand on his head for this team. But when it comes to those high dangers and those siege moments, Korpisalo's kind of weathered the storm a bit tighter.
There have been some moments during the season, during that 6-game slide that we want to pretend didn't happen anymore, obviously. Wins in 3 of 4, can't emphasize that enough, that we would show you Marco Sturm talking with our own Andy Brickley about just these high-scoring, deflating, disappointing losses. I'm happy to report that that's not what we have for you today. We have an excited Sturm with Brick.
Something
Marco!
I think everybody in the building was hoping maybe a power play goal in regulation or the first minute of OT, but how gratifying is it to have Lindholm out there with the 2 kids, Minton and Husnudinov, combined for the game winner?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the power play, we didn't really get the look we wanted to, but yeah, We had a good icing there for them, and that's why we took advantage, like you said, with the young kids.
Yeah, there's a lot of shot volume. Buffalo is funneling a lot of pucks to the net, as evidenced by the 2-to-1 ratio. But the goals were a power play goal through traffic, a missed assignment on a back check, and a missed assignment off a face-off. That being said, how satisfied were you with your in-zone coverage tonight?
Yeah, no, it was much better. I think guys getting more and more comfortable. We had a lot of meetings lately, and I think slowly the guys really do it automatically. You know, they're not thinking right now, so they know exactly what to do. And yeah, there was just unfortunate mistakes we had, but overall I thought we were just a little bit sloppy right from the start. It wasn't probably our best game, but again, I never critique a win, so I'm going to take that one.
Brick mentioned, Lindholm and the kids. Hampus Lindholm, by the way, speaking of kids, congrats to Hampus, his fiancee Amanda. Yeah, baby girl born yesterday. Like earlier in the day, he goes out, still plays a hockey game. I would be among the Walking Dead, just patrolling the halls at the hospital. Hampus out there playing a National Hockey League game. So good on him.
He told Sophia to get 2 hours of sleep, I believe.
That feels like us every night. But that's different. We're not playing a hockey game. We're sitting at a desk lazily. It's okay. But from one Lindholm to the other, Elias Lindholm left this game midway through the second period, had to be helped off the ice, seemed to be favoring his leg, lower body injury. We don't have details, obviously, on what that means going forward.
Yeah.
You hope it's not serious. He's an instrumental part to this team's success. But, if let's just assume they don't have him against Carolina tomorrow afternoon, what does this look like?
Well, it looks like probably another blend of the lines. Judd mentioned moments after we saw Elias go down to the tunnel that it looked like knee contact. So that's just kind of what we're speculating on. And hopefully he's not going to be out for long if that's the case with the lower body injury. But yeah, then we look at some change-ups here. You did see for a second Fraser Minten with, I want to say it was Geeky and Pasa. And then the bigger question mark being that they're starting to find a little bit more consistency with the power play. And Elias Lindholm is the bumper on that power play. And that was already kind of a mix-up because that was supposed to be Pasta's area and sweet spot. So they have some flex to kind of play with a few different options. I believe Arvidsson did pump up to that first unit to kind of see what could take place. Now, also, not really a good litmus test here because, for one, you're talking about a Sabres team who, wild thought, has the #1 penalty kill in the entire National Hockey League, which made what Morgan Geeky did that much more fantastic and that much more telling to like the streak that he is on right now, because to be able to pierce through this PK and pick up only the 4th power play goal to get past the Buffalo Sabres penalty kill unit, I mean, the guy just continues to thrive. So yeah, they're gonna have to play with some things and see what's going to work. But you saw Marco kind of curating a few different looks as soon as that news happened with Elias Lindholm.
I mentioned that the Bees have seen the Sabres twice this year. They've not yet seen the Hurricanes. So this will be a first time in trying to sweep this homestand here of 3 games and obviously make it 3 in a row. The Canes played last night as well. They beat up the Islanders, a team that Boston just beat. 6-2 was the final in this one to improve to 7-3 and notably 4-2 on the road. So what should we expect in terms of Boston just trying to keep this hot streak alive?
You're going to have to see a better defense out of Boston, period, point blank, because you've got this, I don't want to call him an antagonist. He's just kind of a pest in the perfect way, being Svechnikov. And he actually muscled Matthew Schaefer out of an opportunity to charge towards the net and make sure that he found the back of that net after that play. He just has the ability to have body positioning, use his stick to keep the puck very far out in front to where no defender can get in between. And Matthew Schaefer has been pretty tremendous, too. So he got his first schooling, as posted on social media. But between Svechnikov, it's Seth Jarvis and the campaign that he's already put on this season. And once he gets hot in any game, then he's either going to be continuing to stack, whether it's in the assist column or in the goal column. So the pressure that the Canes can provide, the shot volume, yet again, they can translate from the Canes and completely put whoever is in goal under siege yet again. It might not swing in their favor if the Bruins can't try to take away some of those shooting lanes and make sure the communication is absolutely sharp. So you're looking at a big offensive threat that they're going to have to be able to slow down. And a lot of their defensemen are involved. So kind of baiting these guys out of position is going to be something that the Bruins are going to have to try to find and use to their advantage to get some things going versus this Canes team. Now, we've seen some things come to life in the blended lines for the Bruins. We saw Husnudinov, who we kind of touched on earlier. You know, somebody who's been very patient for his opportunity.
This dude right here?
That one right there.
Husnudinov?
I forgot we brought him into the mix.
That's right. He's take it.
Here we go.
He's in the studio.
We can bring it back. There we go. This gentleman right here.
Yeah.
You know, he's got some speed. He's got some two-way ability. He's got the leadership, and he just continues to grow within himself within this system. But not to put it all on like he's going to be the savior to make it an interesting game versus the Canes. But now that they're finding ways to create more kind of like 2-on-1 opportunities, David Pastrnak having a goal last night with a 2-on-1 opportunity, those are going to be some of the mismatches that they're going to have to try to find to really kind of level up against this Canes team.
You keep calling me the average Joe, shouting out the shirt here. The team, by the way.
I call you above average.
Well, that's true. It's nice. I move my computer out of the way. Here's something the average fan may not know about Carolina. Last worst power play unit in the NHL. 9.7%. I mean, that is atrocious.
Yeah.
The Bruins penalty kill admittedly is not as good as it was to start the year when it was perfect for a while, but we're still talking about a top half of the NHL PK. And so how pivotal is special teams going to be to Boston's success in this game?
Well, as much as we're sitting here some days and being like, please, let's not make this a special teams game. Let's see more 5-on-5 play. This is where special teams can come in favor for the Bruins. And oh, by the way, David Pastrnak, one of the top players in the NHL on drawing penalties. So, I mean, to be able to draw those timely penalties, I think Kastelik is somebody who's also drawn timely penalties also. They have the capability of using special teams to their advantage. Now, again, this depends on what things look like in the potential absence of Elias Lindholm. They got some good looks still in his absence, but if they use that to their advantage, we know a guy who's been hot by the name of Morgan Geekie. And if he can continue to find success on the power play and climb in the rankings, this can very much help out this team here. So they can use that, but it's also going to be the latter of it. If they're not drawing penalties and they're causing a lot of penalties and having to be on the PK, it's very exhausting. And Barry made a great point on the broadcast last night to say, like, when you have your PK unit out there way too much, your scorers are just kind of getting cold, no pun intended, on the bench. You know, a lot of hockey is the touch, the instinct, and you have to be out there manipulating the touch and the instinct to just feel it out and know when you're going to have your moment. So when you're just sitting there watching the game too much, it can take you out of finding your rhythm, finding your game, and making sure that you execute. So there's a balance there.
As a team, I know people don't generally think of the Boston Bruins as a goal-scoring team the way they're built right now, but when it comes to individuals, my goodness, going back to January 1st, the NHL, not Boston, the NHL goal-scoring leaders, David Pastrnak, 37, number 1, Morgan Geekie, 34, number 2, and then you get to Leon Draisaitl at 33, Sidney Crosby at 31. It's kind of nuts what these two guys are doing, obviously, on that top line. But, like you said, have to continue it against Carolina and lots of other teams going forward to, continue, obviously, playing at the level that they are. But things are good right now across Boston sports. Later in the program, we're going to get into those streaking Celtics, streaking Patriots. We've just talked about the streaking Bruins. Everybody's streaking. Going streaking. Frank the Tank. That's what it's all about right now. Bring your green hat.
Perfect timing.
Unreal.
It's Halloween.
That would be fun for Halloween. Well, you can't wear that for Halloween. You
might not be able to make it home.
Clothes required.
Yeah.
You stop at KFC on the way home. Think KFC's still open?
Is that your go-to?
Well, no, that's old school. Come on, get the reference.
You just
Pick
aged
it up
yourself.
with me.
I'm sorry.
One Will Ferrell type movie to another. We'll be back.
Back at it with Boston has entered the chat live from the Salem 5 studio on this spooky Friday. It's time to get into what's trending in the world of sports, starting with the fact that, did you know, dear average Joe, that Noble and the NHL are coming together for a partnership. If you guys were all over the interwebs over the past couple of days, you probably saw a cool Noble workout with some former NHL players and people that work all throughout the NHL. But yeah, very cool partnership. And by the way, kind of got a little bit of an inside scoop-ish here because myself, Annabelle Hasselback, Natalie Norrie actually got to go to the Noble headquarters. AB and Natalie sat down and did a few interviews, so take a look at their work right here.
From your perspective, what separates Noble from maybe other fitness and lifestyle brands?
Yeah, I think one thing we talk about a lot is just like the shirts you're wearing. Like we have a brand name that means a lot to people, and I think it's very, very strong, and people proudly wear it across their chest in a really big way. And so there's so many brands in the footwear space specifically that everybody has lots of choices every day, and when they choose Noble, we find it really means something. And I think that there's a connection to our brand that's really powerful, and we like to say that we're small but mighty and growing every day. And so we notice that whenever people are choosing Noble, they're really in it in a more emotional way than they might be with another brand that they just find in a store. So we want to cultivate more of that, and it's really exciting to see.
I can attest to the comfort, that's for sure. So we got some swag
They didn't have
bags.
any extra swag laying around?
I don't know if we're the same size.
Well, not do you have any extra
Oh, okay.
swag? Did they maybe
You know what?
send a couple mediums?
I'll call a
over?
friend.
Yeah.
I'll call a friend. Let me know your sizes and I'll make a call. But
mediums across the board.
I have been living in the sweatsuit that was part of the swag bag. I don't know if that's something to admit, but I mean the comfort of my own home, right?
Yeah.
And then the shoes, my goodness. So I'm that weirdo where I need this I need cushion with running shoes, but I also need it to feel absolutely bare at the same time.
I don't think that makes you weird.
Okay, so whatever that combination is, Noble happened to land it perfectly. So those have become my new running shoes, and I am living in the sweatsuit, but in all reality, it is very comfortable, fantastic, great event. Shout out to Jenny from Meet Boston.
Mm-hmm.
She put on this entire event. It was a really cool workout. The only part that wasn't that cool, which I appreciate our Nesson family for just kind of avoiding this, is I ran straight from the show here to the event at Noble headquarters, full face of makeup, no makeup wipes. So halfway through the workout, I'm feeling these things crushing my ears, and I'm like, oh, I'm still working out in pearls and a full face of makeup. Nobody needed to see this whatsoever. So in between, and I'm working out next to Jenny too. She ended up being my partner. I'm trying to sneak off one earring at a time and tuck it under my mat so that people are the chick that showed up in pearls and a full face of makeup to work out. But it was fantastic, a nice little rooftop event up top. But make sure you catch the full episode of Annabelle Hasselback and Natalie Nori talking with plenty of Noble figureheads, employees, everyone making a difference there, because she said that they're small but mighty, but they are producing such mighty, mighty things. That'll be dropping on Nesson's YouTube at 2 p.m. today.
You're very lucky, actually, that I don't know, for lack of a better, the camera crew, I guess, took pity on you and didn't, because there was, I was doing a story at one point, this was a couple of years ago, and I went out to talk with a couple of Harlem Globetrotters, okay? And they were like, yeah, let's get you out on the court and let's do some pickup. And it was like, that's cool, but this is a radio story, so I'm like, this is no big deal. Nobody's ever going to see this,
right?
But
oh my gosh,
they were
somebody captured it.
Yeah,
all.
let's film it for digital. And of course, it's this viral dude who has a zillion followers across social media. Is like, yeah, let's play. I'm in jeans, because I'm not expecting to play basketball.
Goodness.
And this clip, you could effortlessly find this. This clip is everywhere.
All right,
of me just
we're
getting
going to YouTube for two things
tooled
today.
on in jeans on a basketball court with some Globetrotters.
Okay.
So, yeah, you had nice people in your corner, and I did not.
Like I
really
said,
what it comes
I
down
love my
to.
Nesson family. They are all too kind to me. So we're going to YouTube Adam Kaufman trying to be a Globetrotter and AB and Natalie's interviews with Noble today at 2 p.m. Now, quick pivot to Halloween spirit, because Zadorov talks about what he's up to for Halloween right here.
Murat's been saying how much you've been a help to him in the offseason and last year. What do you think about his overtime goal, and how happy you are for him?
I was really happy. No, it's great. I mean, he's a good player, good kid too. We've been close since he came here. Family's close. He's coming for trick and treating tomorrow, so I'm gonna be exciting. Yeah.
Nice. Are you dressing up tomorrow for your kids?
Yes.
What are you gonna be?
You will see tomorrow.
Okay. Did you say who's going with you?
Yeah, he will. Yeah, he's gonna hold my basket with my candies.
That is such an enforcer thing to say. Yes, he's going to hold my basket and hold my candy.
Take it.
Exactly. Honestly, it's going to be great to see what costumes those two come up with, especially if Husnudinov sticks up to his end of the bargain, walking around holding the basket and all of the candy without eating the candy.
Good ones.
I would never have that kind of self-discipline, but I've been Catwoman for 3 years running now, and that's exactly why I showed up as, a fake Kim Possible today.
Maybe later.
It was time to retire. Yeah. If you see somebody lurking through the streets of Boston, it could be me. But what's the Halloween candy go-to for you?
Go-to would be most things chocolate. Most like Hershey or Kit Kat or
Okay.
Nestle, that kind of thing.
Tyler Seguin said something so criminal yesterday
What was
to
that?
Jackie Redmond. He doesn't like peanut butter, candy, anything.
I'm not a big peanut butter candy anything either. More of a milk
Wow, the
chocolate
legalities continue.
or like, you know, the ones like a Nestle Crunch, like the stuff with some of the nuts, that sort of thing. Or, you know, we just get into M&Ms and Skittles and Tootsie Rolls and all that stuff.
All
We
right,
could talk
well,
about candy for an hour.
I don't know. You guys
Let's
let
do
us
that.
know if that's a criminal offense. 617-790-0928.
Let's
We
talk
pivot
candy corn.
from candy over to the Patriots. Don't go anywhere. Big matchup versus the Falcons this Sunday. Talk more about it here on Boston's Under the Chat.
Welcome back, everyone. Here on Boston has entered the chat on Nesson. We welcome in our first guest of the program, Carl Dukes, who is a popular personality there in Atlanta, covers the Falcons, all the other teams. Really, we should talk about Kristaps Porzingis just a little bit with the Celtics back in action in Philadelphia tonight. Happy Halloween to you, sir. You didn't dress up for us.
I put my costume on yet. You guys look great, by the way. It's coming. Trust me. We're big Halloween folks, so it's all about the festivities and everything that goes on in and around Halloween. So I will be dressed up a little bit later. I'll send pics.
I
There we
failed
go.
Adam a little bit today, but I promise. I mean, I made so much of an effort. So we're on the same page, Carl. Don't let him guilt us. We have time.
He's making me feel guilty. He's like, it's early.
Yeah.
You didn't dress up. I'm like, I couldn't go to
8:30
bed in my
a.m.
costume last night.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us bright and early. Why aren't you dressed in your Halloween garb, full makeup? Carl, let's talk Patriots Falcons here in Foxborough this weekend. The Pats are favorites, understandably so. They've got this winning streak. Your Falcons, I'm going to call them your Falcons, have cost me some money this year with their Jekyll and
More
Hyde
guilt.
performances, man. Because I mean, look, they've beaten the Bills, the Vikings, the Commanders, but they've lost by 30 in Carolina, lost most recently to the Dolphins. We just got another look last night at what this team is. So I don't know, and I know like it was Kirk Cousins, not Michael Penix Jr., there was no Drake London, so both those guys, they could, and you can shed some intel, they could return this weekend. We expect a better performance than obviously what we saw from Atlanta against Miami, but I don't week to week know what to expect from this team.
Do we? The problem. They've been so inconsistent throughout the course of this season, specifically on offense. And Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator who came over with Raheem Morris from the Rams when he got the job, has been, criticized to the utmost. And it partly has to do with the inconsistency, the predictability somewhat of this offense, and their inability to score in the red zone. So what you're seeing is all of those things combined, and week to week, you're not sure what you're going to get. Michael Penix is expected to play. Talked to Raheem Morris just a day or so ago, and he said things look really good. He's been at practice. He is listed as limited, but we do expect him to be out there. But the Falcons are dealing with some other injuries, including Jesse Bates, who thought it was an ankle. It was a knee. One of the best safeties in the league, hopefully will be on the field on Sunday for the Patriots game. But they literally, it's not the injuries, guys. It's more about the consistency of this offense. And what you saw last night with Miami, you alluded to it, is why Falcon fans are so distraught right now, because they came limping in here 1-6. What happened last night and the way the Ravens handled them is what should have happened last week with the Falcons, and it didn't. And so you've had 3 duds. All 3 of your losses have been duds offensively. They've got to find a way to fix that.
So maybe kind of a 2-part question here, because for one, are you describing a bit of an identity crisis? And then for 2, going into a matchup trying to be a little less predictable, well, kind of one of their strong arms here is being able to run the ball against their opponents. And then you're going against a Patriots defense where that's kind of their strong suit. So Penix coming back, is that going to give them an opportunity to change their approach a little bit to put them in this matchup?
Well, Kirk Cousins last week, everybody thought throwing him out there, he is the most expensive backup in the league. They were not going to attempt to trade him. They told us that in the summer. He's going to be here. We got the best quarterback room. They played him last week, and he was hot garbage. I mean, he did not play well at all. And so now you go, well, is it the quarterback or is it the system? What's happening with the inconsistencies of this offense? And to answer your question about Michael Penix, certainly, Michael Penix's upside is incredible. This kid has all the intangibles. Ironically, we spoke with Kalen DeBoer yesterday on my radio show at Alabama, and he was his coach at Washington, and he was talking about how he's built, and he's going to be able to come into his own. But Michael Penix doesn't even have a full season under his belt, so he is a guy that's still figuring it out. And on top of that, his stretch the field guy and Darnell Mooney has not been available. Darnell Mooney has been injured as well. What the Falcons have to do more consistently is, in fact, run the football with Bijan Robinson and not go away from it. When Bijan touches the ball 25 times or more, this team wins, period. It doesn't matter if it's screen passes, quick hitters, running the ball up the middle, stretch plays. It doesn't matter how you get him the ball. So that has not happened in the losses in which the Falcons have endured. So you've got to find a way to continue to give him the ball. And I think they're going to attempt to do that against this stout Patriots defense. But something's got to give because the Falcons are number one in pass defense in the league. So is Drake May not going to challenge the Falcons secondary? I doubt that. Something's going to give on Sunday.
Yeah, Patriots, of course, a top 5 run defense, have yet to allow a single running back 50-plus rushing yards in a game this year. It's been an incredible run. Bijan fully equipped to be the type of guy that could break that run, of course, but he's also a guy that can kill you out of the backfield as a receiver. So doesn't necessarily have to rush to be impactful. But you just brought it up. You know, in terms of the pass defense for Atlanta, I think that's one of the things going into this game. The Patriots, you know, they've won 5 straight coming off a real dog walking of the Cleveland Browns. And Cleveland's not a good team, but that defense is exceptional. And yet May, for the 7th straight time, record-tying 7th straight time, 200-plus passing yards, a 100-plus passer rating. But you said it. Number 1 pass defense in the NFL for Atlanta. And so how do the Falcons hope to slow him down here?
It's interesting because asking Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator for the Falcons this week, how do you describe Drake May? And we played the Bills a few weeks ago, and Josh Allen, who obviously is an MVP in this league and is a special individual, and they compared Drake May in a similar way to Josh Allen. Now, that's a hell of a compliment, but I just think, like, when you think about his size, his arm talent, and he's not afraid to tuck in and run for some yards and move the chains, you are going to be challenged this week, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. So I think the game plan is to try to limit some of the things, obviously, he does really well right now, but they know this is going to be a challenge. And, you know, ironically, they were able to beat the Bills, which is, and now you look at this team and you go, what's happened the last few weeks, which we get back to the inconsistency. But they feel confident that they can put a plan together as they did against that Bills team and challenge Drake in a similar way. I will say this. New England's found their franchise quarterback. I had my doubts. We talked about it a lot, even coming into the season, because they were on the schedule, and now we're here. And he's having a heck of a season. There's no doubt.
You mentioned tuck and run and that kind of being a fearful thing to face. Like, where does the confidence lie in this Falcons defense if that's what Drake May goes to? Because we are seeing him be a little bit more intentional and less panicked. And we actually just had his high school coach on yesterday to talk about just kind of any weaknesses he may have sniffed out when it comes to this kid. And he said, no, if anything, I think I held him back because he wanted to run the ball and he wanted to come up with those big plays for his team. But I didn't want to see a mobile quarterback in my system in high school. I wanted to protect him. But now he's starting to get some of that freedom. So while we're talking about his MVP campaign and him airing out the ball with designed runs, this is something he's very capable of doing, and he really hasn't had that big game yet to do so. This could potentially be a spot. Is there any concern here for the Falcons?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of this has to do with Divine Diablo, who was having an unbelievable season at linebacker for the Falcons, got injured. He's out maybe weeks, maybe longer. And with him being unable to play, he's a guy with speed and length that the Falcons really utilized against a guy potentially like Drake May. I think it's one of the reasons why they were able to contain Josh Allen when they played the Bills a few weeks ago. But he's not on the field. And so J.D. Bertrand, a Notre Dame product, has been taking his spot. Last week, he struggled a little bit in some pass coverage issues. So I do think what you're saying about Drake and incorporating him in the run game with the Patriots is a concern because of what we saw last week. Now, we know it's a week-to-week league, and certainly they could fix those issues. But I hope that isn't one of the storylines as this game plays out on Sunday, where Drake is, forcing the issue with the read options, and then all of a sudden you're seeing big plays down the field because of him delivering the ball to his guys.
Carl, Patriots are 6-2, far from perfect on the field, though. There are certainly issues to correct. One of them defensively is that they have allowed points on the first drive of the game, 6 of these 8 games so far. I'm just curious, maybe some of this is mental, kind of how Atlanta is built in that locker room, meaning if the Patriots get down early, we've seen it. They don't crumble, they stay within their game, they find a way to rebound. More often than not, they win. If Atlanta falls down early in this game, are the Falcons going to turtle, or are they in it there for a while?
It's an interesting question as well, because the Falcons have only scored twice on their opening drives all season. Oh, wow. So when they have had control of games and have been in control, those are the games they've won. In the games they've not had control of, and they get, the first drive and they miss a field goal, or they come down 3 and out, and the other team, regardless of who it's been, gets the ball back and goes down and scores. That has been games in which the Falcons have had some issues. The games they've won, guys, they've been in control of. So I'm not sure how to answer that question. It's funny because we were chopping this up on my show as well about how is this team built to come from behind. And I'm not talking about 3 points. Again, if it's 10, 14, are they able to do that? To be quite honest, guys, they want to run the ball, they want to control the clock, and they want to play stout defense. And it sounds old school, it sounds Mike Vrabel-ish, to be quite honest with you, but that's kind of this formula, is run the football, control the clock, and not have Michael Penix have to throw the football 50 times. That is not the formula for the Falcons to win. And if they get behind, that is what's going to have to happen. So to answer that, I would tell you that they're not going to cave, but certainly they've had difficulties in coming from behind early in games because they just don't score on their first drives for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you just gave us some keys to a victory if the Falcons can find one versus this Patriots team tonight. Not that New England wants to hear that, but what is your prediction of how this will all play out, seeing as how everything goes according to plan for both sides?
Look, I don't want to overhype this, but Raheem Morris is catching a lot of heat, guys. And it has a lot to do with how these losses have transpired. It's still really early in the season. He mentioned to us and said, look, when I was with the Rams, he won a Super Bowl with Sean McVay as the defensive coordinator. During that season, we went on a stretch where we lost 4 games. And everybody thought, the roof was caving in. You go through stretches in the NFL where you've got to overcome some obstacles. But I think there's a lot of pressure to show not only the fan base, but Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, that this is under control. We are not this bad offensively. We can score in the red zone. We are going to get our playmakers the football, and we're going to do it in an efficient way. And so I predict the Falcons will play really well coming off of a disappointing loss against the Dolphins. Will they play well enough to win on the road? That is really the question. And if this run game is stifled, the question for me and most Falcon fans is, what is the plan for Zach Robinson? What does he pivot to? How does he implement plan B to get other guys involved if Bijan and Tyler Algier, the 2 running backs who are great, get stifled by this run defense? So I think it'll be a close game, guys. And I do predict that the Falcons will go up there and handle business, because I feel like there's a sense of urgency that they haven't had based on the fact of the criticism they've been facing here in Atlanta.
So Patriots win by 7, cover the number, and come Monday morning, Raheem Morris is looking for work. You heard it right there from Carl in Atlanta. Beautiful.
No, look, I think, and I think the world of Mike Vrabel, man. I think he's unbelievable. He came in and immediately instilled a culture there, and he's got some guys. It's funny, and you guys know this, when you talk to players on that team, and they're like, from where we were with 4 wins the last 2 seasons, and Mike comes in here, and the culture that's already been instilled, it's unbelievable. So they've got a bright future with Mike Vrabel, but I think Raheem will have his team ready, and we're going to see what happens on Sunday. I'm excited to see if this team can respond.
Carl Dukes, 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, on Twitter at Put'emUpCDukes. Carl, thank you so much. Look forward to chatting with you again, sir.
My man. Hey, guys, take care. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
All right, beautiful. We're going to come on back, talk some Celtics at the Sixers, the beginning of the sophisticated Emirates NBA Cup. That is next. Jon Lyons, WEEI, joins us.
All right, back at it with the spooky edition of Boston has entered the chat. Look, Jon Lyons, welcome back. Friend of the program. You come and talk all sports with us. Usually it's Patriots. Today, we are getting into some Celtics conversation because, look, friend, I need somebody to help level the playing field here. Travis is usually riding high, a little negative, got a lot of things to say about the Celtics, made some backhanded apologies yesterday.
Tank.
Adam
Fire Joe Mazzulla, sit Jason Tatum.
Yeah, along those lines. Adam has been a notch more positive, but Jon Lyons, what do you make of this team and their rematch against the 76ers for this NBA Cup? Because they only lost by 1 point opening up the season. They have a flashy win versus the Cavs. Are they pulling on enough momentum to be able to make a statement versus the 76ers?
Well, Kasey, it feels like they're in a much better place than if you had me on at this time last week, because I would have been pretty down on them, especially
would you have
those
been a
first
Travis or an Adam?
I would have been whichever one was the most negative on that day after
you would be
Friday's
a Travis, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
probably.
good.
So, I mean, and opening night, too, I mean, and not to go all the way back, but you have a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. Like, at home, that's a game you got to win. And then the Knicks, okay, you were a little overmatched there. I get it. And then Detroit, maybe a little overmatched. I think that's a team that maybe around here people don't notice as much because they've been bad for a while, but there's a lot of good pieces there. So to get the win in New Orleans, and then especially that win against the Cavaliers, I thought was really encouraging, because when you look at this early season schedule, it wasn't just the game against the Cavs or the Knicks. Now you're on the road tonight in Philly, and then tomorrow you're going to play a Houston Rockets team that on opening night started the tallest lineup in NBA history, and the Celtics have had some rebounding issues. So getting that Cleveland win, I think, was really important. And if then they can take care of business tonight and go to 3-3, even if they don't beat Houston, but they're 3-4 through their first 7, which again included, the Knicks, the Cavs, the Rockets, I think you can walk away with that feeling at least okay about kind of where they're at.
So tonight does tip off the beginning of the NBA Cup, which, of course, these games are scattered, over the next couple of months, I think it is at this point. But in Philadelphia, of course, group play, for anyone who doesn't follow this stuff, Celtics are in one of 6 groups. They're with the Nets, the Pistons, the Magic, the Sixers. Philadelphia at 4-0, by the way, to begin the year, because they did steal that one against the C's opening night, are considered the favorites in this group. Personally, I don't give a crap about the NBA Cup. This is just another Adam Silver creation to make games more interesting in the regular season that don't need to be made more interesting. So that isn't a thing for me. But for people that, I don't know, want to get revved up about it, and I think some players do. I don't know if Celtics do, but some players do. Boston's not hanging a banner for this thing in this alternate universe where they win an NBA Cup. But I think the bigger question is, in this first game, what do they take from opening night where you allow Tyrese Maxey 40 points, VJ Edgecombe in his NBA debut 34 points, a shell of Joel Embiid on the other side. He's played a little bit better more recently. What do you take from that first game into this one to try and have a different outcome?
Yeah, and Adam, if I had to put a percentage on how much I care about the NBA Cup, it would be less than 0. So I'm pretty much with you right there. And look, as far as this game goes, you brought up Joel Embiid, and he's an interesting piece here to me, because opening night, he looked like a ghost. Didn't play in the fourth quarter, had 4 points overall. And then you look at his last couple games, he seems like he's suddenly back on track. I mean, the other night he had 25, 7, and 5 in 23 minutes. And I know he's still on a minutes restriction. We'll see how much he plays, but they've had, a few days off here. So I think he could actually have an impact in this game. VJ Edgecombe is averaging 23 points per game. And oh, by the way, the guy who is leading the NBA in points per game is Tyrese Maxey. So the Celtics defense, I think, is going to have its hands full. And I think 2 things from opening night, if they can be quote unquote better at tonight, one would be they got to hit more threes. I mean, they shot 25% from 3 on opening night. And also, can their fast break defense be better? I mean, there was a lot of possessions in that opening night game, whether it was Maxey, whether it was Edgecombe, that they just had no resistance going up and down the floor. So that's something that, Philly is 5th in second chance points. They had 21 fast break points on opening night. Can the Celtics be better in some of those margin areas? Because I think if they had been, they would have won on opening night, and it wouldn't have come down to the last possession either way.
Yeah, well, at least we've seen growth, I want to say, at least in the last 2 games for one. You mentioned the threes. We saw more threes land versus the Cavaliers. And then on top of that,
when you take 100.
And then we saw better play, better consistency, and holding up their end of the bargain when it came to the fourth quarter, more importantly, dominating in the second and the fourth quarter. What do you need to see out of this team, or what do they need to continue to build off of? Because there were some players that were very much non-existent in the first matchup, but Josh Minott showed off versus the Cavs. So is there anyone on your list that's like, hey, if this guy comes in and plays, this team can not just, I don't know, pull away with a victory by a narrow margin, but actually show the 76ers that they can compete?
Yeah, so look, you're on the road in Philly. Like, Jaylen Brown is going to have a good game. You want Derek White to start shooting the ball better than he's been shooting. By the way, Derek White leading the NBA in three-point attempts per game. So it'd be nice if some of those went down as well. But Kasey, you brought up Josh Minott, and I think that's an interesting guy because on opening night, and just take the numbers out of it, watching him play looked a little lost out there.
14 minutes, 2 rebounds, 2 points.
Exactly. So not only were the numbers not good, but he just looked kind of lost out there, especially on the defensive end. And we've seen him over the past few games get more comfortable, get better. And look, he's a role player. He's not going to be some starter level guy all year long. But if he can kind of give you similar to what you got in the Cavs game from him, I think that would be a huge boost compared to what you got opening night. Even Luka Garza has looked a little bit more comfortable over the past game or so. So maybe that's encouraging because their rebounding numbers, which were atrocious against the Knicks and not much better against the Pistons, have gotten better. They were better against the Cavs, and they actually out-rebounded Philly in that opening night game by 2. So can you do well on the boards? But yeah, Minott's an interesting one. Jaylen Brown, Derek White. I think if you can get contributions out of those guys, you'll be in good shape. Because if Embiid's going to be a much better player than you saw on opening night, you're going to have fewer opportunities inside, and you're going to have to knock down some of those outside shots.
Look, if you guys want Josh Minott talk, Ante Campbell and I did a lot of Josh Minott talk on Hold My Banner, which is available to you on the Nesson YouTube page.
Shameless
Comes
plug.
your way, Nesson Nation. It's not shameless at all. Tuesdays, Thursdays, 1 p.m. Check it out because there was, Minott, diamond in the rough. This is your new, Brad Stevens, Derek White find. But going back to that Cavs game and that, emphatic 20-point win that I think surprised a lot of people, obviously. The 2 team takeaways for me, because for a singular player, probably is Minott, but the 2 team takeaways for me for that game were out-rebounding a team that has Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and also the bench scoring. It was only, I think, 18 points on the other side for the Cavs bench, 45 for Boston, including Sam Hauser's 21, which was just excellent. So going forward here, in the short term anyway, which one of those facets to you is more important to this team's success?
I feel like it's going to be the bench scoring because I think defensively this team is going to have a ceiling, right? With no Porzingis, no Horford, no Cornette, no Holiday. We go down the list. It's a good team that they just is not there anymore. But I think if you can get, and it's not just Hauser, who was great in that first quarter and hit some big shots later in the game, but if Anthony Simons, a guy who as a starter in Portland was a 20-point per game player, can you get scoring off the bench from him when he's coming off the bench? I think that is where the Celtics can have an edge over some of these other teams. Because you look at the starting 5, for the last 2 years, the Celtics had the best starting 5 in the NBA. Them in Oklahoma City, I guess you could debate. Now, that's not the case, right? You still have the All-NBA player in Jaylen Brown, but your starting 5 is not what it was. So can you win on the margins? Can you win on a night that Hauser comes off the bench in the first quarter and starts hitting a bunch of threes? Can you win on a night where Anthony Simons is playing really well? Even Hugo Gonzalez, can you win on a night where he's giving you a bunch of energy and effort and playing really well? So I think, can you win on those margins, including, and look, they did this at home against the Cavaliers. Can some of these guys do that on the road? Like, we know Sam Hauser, he's been here a while. He can do it on the road. We don't maybe know about Simons. And even Josh Minott, we'll see if he's in the starting lineup or not. Can he do that on the road? We'll have to see. Really, tonight's going to be a nice early test for that. Because, again, if you win this game tonight and you're 3-3, regardless of what happens against Houston, all of a sudden maybe you're feeling better about your bench. You're feeling better about what you're doing on the margins. Your early rebounding woes haven't hurt you quite as much as maybe it looked like they were going to at this time last week. So I think to answer your question, it's the bench scoring going forward because I think that's an area where they can beat a lot of teams on the margins.
All right, a quick two-parter before we get out here. For one, do you trust this defense to step up and be able to better handle Maxey and Edgecombe? And then for 2, your prediction of how this plays out.
So I think the defense will be better than it was on opening night. Again, I talked about all the 21, I think, fast break points and just some of the easy layups that those guards had from Philly. I think they'll be better than they were on opening night. And I do think the Celtics are going to win this game. I think they're going to go down there, and I think Embiid is going to be better. But I think the Celtics are going to be better than what you saw on opening night. I think that Cleveland win, and I know momentum might be overrated in pro sports, but for a team without Tatum and without all those guys that I mentioned earlier, to win a game against a good team like Cleveland, I think that does do a lot for their confidence heading into tonight's game. So if you care about the NBA Cup, unlike I do, and unlike Adam does, you'll be happy that they'll win an NBA Cup tonight. I'll just be happy that they beat the 76ers.
Yeah, again, I don't care about the NBA Cup and like getting out of group play and taking you through to the whatever.
Yeah, and what does it take?
Oklahoma
6 months?
City,
Like,
I think it ends in like December. Genuinely, I think that's when it ends because it's so staggered. But here's where it does matter, fans. It's a regular season game that counts towards your schedule. It's not like this, separate tournament or whatever that's no.
Yeah, no counter.
Nobody cares that Oklahoma City, the eventual NBA champion, got curb stomped by Milwaukee last year in the NBA Cup final. Who gives a singular damn? Nobody. Nobody. We're about championships here, not NBA Cup championships here.
Yeah.
But yeah, go out and get this win, get yourselves back to 500. That's the kind of thing that matters for a team that, unlike Travis, I do not want to see tank. So go out, be a playoff team, and tread water until Jason Tatum inevitably comes back.
Tread water. We got a lot of different plans going on, but that only means that we have to have you back to talk more C's. Jon, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hop on and hang out with your friends here in Boston has entered the chat. I'm sure we'll see you very, 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 very soon. Have a safe and exciting Halloween hiding away in Syracuse. Sorry, I gave your spot away.
Yeah, you still got to find them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure being on.
Of course. We've got so much fun going on here at Boston's End of the Chat, but the fun starts to dwindle down. Is that the right word to use?
Fun's just getting started. Are you kidding me?
Well,
We're going over to Nesson Nation for the next hour.
We're going to be exiting out of Nesson and
we're
pivoting
sticking
the
around.
party to Nesson
Lots
Nation.
more.
You guys know
Bruins
the deal.
talk.
Average Joe,
Celtics
you're
talk.
impossible.
Patriots talk.
Actually,
everybody's winning around here.
To minimize the talk, do you know the 5 Ds of dodgeball?
Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge, I think it is.
Did you say dodge twice?
Sure did.
Okay, well, might be 4 there. Let us know what you make of Average Joe and his above average knowledge of sports, because we've covered all of it here on Boston is End of the Chat. But you, the fans, have to join us in the conversation. A reminder, 617-790-0928. You can leave a voicemail, interact with us. We love to make sure that you, the fans, always have a voice here on Boston is End of the Chat. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., right here on Nesson, 9 a.m. over on Nesson Nation. So that's exactly where Kim Possible and Above Average Joe are heading right now. So make sure you join us over on Nesson Nation. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Outside.
Well, it's spooky.
Yes.